So abortions now are basically illegal. And damn, that's gonna be hella inconvenient for me. Shit, I got so many babies circulating around here. Don't ask how. A totally gay dude has like multiple babies circulating around. So these conservatives,
Yeah.
so say, care about lives or whatever. All the sperm I've given away and all the sperm that they've given away from all the porn that they watch. Hey, everybody, it's Happy Politics. Hey, Quentin's here. What do you want to talk about today, Quentin?
Well, I guess I better not have any wayward babies out here or make a uh-oh. Even though, yeah, damn, they're trying to cause a lot of divorces. Do they not know that they get away with this type of stuff, too? Like, this is, like, how they get away with screwing around on their wives. Like, there's plenty of times you hear a politician forcing some lady to get an abortion because it's just bad for business. Does that count, too?
It's extremely bad for business, man. Sure. Yeah, let's go with that. Now, for everybody who's like wondering, I'm pretty sure everybody's already heard about the Texas law that went into effect that they will enforce, but not in the way that you would think. So, Quentin, break it down.
In
how
progress.
is this actually being enforced?
Well, the funny thing is it's really being enforced with this very roundabout way. So technically, we're not banning abortion, but we technically are because we're making it illegal for others, for people to perform them. And we even have a hotline, which is actually funny. Apparently, I want to say, who was it? I want to say it was either Rational National or it was Mike Figueroa's, which is the Humanist Report. I want to say, was it him? No, I lied. Jesse Dollarmore. Apparently, the hotline, people were calling in, was like, doing pranks to the hotline, which is kind of terrible. Like, we are making a snitching hotline for people who may be performing abortions. That's wild. But this is nothing new when it comes to law. And Eric, you and I, we've kind of discussed this as well. It's like, what's the purpose of a law if it's not just to protect people? Like, in the reality, I can't find a purpose behind anti-abortion laws. I've wrapped my head around it, but it's just not coming.
I'm certainly glad you weren't talking about the other Jesse, the one who had the straight pride parade. We might touch on that one a little bit
Peterson for the win. Yeah, we probably got to talk about him, but nah.
But all right. So from the SCOTUS blog. Nearly 24 hours after a Texas law that bans nearly all abortions in the state went into effect, the Supreme Court on Wednesday confirmed what it had previously only implied through its failure to act the night before. The court rejected a request to block enforcement of a law which abortion providers say will bar at least 85% of abortions in the state and will likely cause many clinics to close, while a challenge to its constitutionality is litigated in the lower courts. Vote was 5-4. So to describe to people basically how this works, it's not the government necessarily enforcing this. You can't really so much sue the government. Mm-hmm. What it is it's a roundabout way of private citizens being able to enforce it. Yes. So if I come across knowledge that somebody maybe 12 weeks down the line is about to get an abortion and I'm familiar with who's about to perform the abortion, I could just basically call in to this little like snitch line and
get them arrested. I don't know what the end goal is. What are we doing?
Well, I could potentially sue.
For
I can even potentially sue because you have offended my sensibilities. How dare you?
Wait. Okay, all right, let's run this. All right, Eric, you decide to go get an abortion. I don't know. Just run with me. Okay. And all of a sudden I say, hey, you have offended me and I need financial, I need you to pay damages for my sensibilities in this case. So I want to sue you for $1 million. How the fuck does that really work in practice? Like, what? Like,
I don't know if there's like a max number or something like that you could sue. I thought there actually was, but
I mean,
it's just still like that's enough of a deterrent to where people will be like, damn, even a couple like a $10,000 or something like that, that's enough to be like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna just give this up. I'm not doing this abortion.
I'm just wondering, like, if you step into a court, under what grounds can you sue this individual or this company or these group of doctors? I don't understand, like, because there's a difference between saying you're suing someone for battery, you're suing somebody for slander, and so on and so forth. But what is the legal avenue for saying I'm suing you because you have performed an abortion on a person that I may or may not know?
So it does describe it in the article. So instead, it deputizes private individuals to bring lawsuits against anyone who either providers or aids or abets an abortion, and it establishes an award of $10,000 for a successful lawsuit. So I guess like my job has a similar policy to like this. I forget what the award is, but there's a poster up there. I think it was like $5,000 or something like that.
Oh,
like,
if you bust up a
report
union?
Anybody. Well, not even busting up a union though. I wouldn't be surprised, but it's just like, hey, if you suspect anybody of stealing and you give us some useful information, we'll give you a little chunk change. It's like, man, I'm just gonna mind my fucking business. This ain't my business, bro. Just keep it moving.
See,
Shit.
I would ask the question, and my question would be, if this were a similar situation, but instead of abortion, it was anti-vaxxers when it comes to COVID. And I'm going to snitch on every person who says they will never take the vaccine. And whatever consequences come from that, whatever. Would they be as willing to accept that like they are to this?
No.
It's mostly rhetorical because we know the answer to that.
Yeah.
But they use the same rhetoric where they try to say, my body, my choice. But with that being said, your body, your choice when it comes to the health and safety and the public health of the nation, of your community, that's off the table. But here we are regulating the bodies of ladies who you ain't smashing, and nor is it your child. But you can determine if they should have to have a child or not. That's just wild to me. I don't understand.
Yeah, it is. And, we got to like thank our governor for that, for helpfully passing SB 8, which prohibits abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. So you can kind of see where this is kind of going. Like 6 weeks. 6 weeks is actually a very, very small amount of time.
That's a short window. Like, most people don't find out they're pregnant until about 6 weeks, like maybe a month. Like, most people don't really start finding out until they're like, between 4 and 6 months. 4 or 6 weeks, something like that. And so most of the time they don't find out till about 8 weeks down the line. And so if you just find out then, oops, sorry, you missed your window. But I just found out. So sad.
Yeah,
like, it's
so sad. And for like all these Republicans who like to talk about like how pro-life they are or whatever, spilling sperm all over the damn place and shit. Or they don't care about life when it comes to like the regulations of guns. No,
hell no. Hey, now. No. Hey, don't you dare slander our firearms here. Speaking of which, more people need to be able to have firearms. So we're just gonna just go right back to the Wild West, baby. No rules whatsoever. You got it.
Maybe if we lived in a society that, took care of life very well after the baby comes out, then maybe I would have some sympathy. I would still say no, but I would be at least like, okay, well, at least you're gonna you're kind of consistent with your values. Like, you care about life all across the board, but you don't really.
I still wouldn't hop on board, but like you said, if we had, universal daycare, if we had, kids get free lunch in school, if for some reason there was a great social safety net for those who need it, then I'm not saying there's less argument because it's still a crappy law, but at least you can say, well, you got all these avenues to be able to be, help take care of this child because we really do care about the kids. It's all about the kids.
Yeah. And as people who cares about life, You would think like you would carry that a little bit more consistently. I mean, how many times have we heard people talking about budget cuts to try to like, oh my god, these kids have free
That's,
lunch. Oh my
I mean,
god, free lunch, man. You're gonna make these kids just spoiled and just
yep,
so dependent upon the government. Oh my
yep.
god,
That one,
healthcare, shit.
yeah.
What about my choice?
How we gonna pay for it? I like my doctor. Should I have to pay for the next person to have health care? Really?
That's technically what you do under a fucking insurance plan, you stupid ass motherfucker. That is what an insurance pool is. How do you not know this?
Because
like, you're talking against yourself as you're saying it. Shit.
Is I don't know. That's the problem. It's like, yes, this is how it works. It's just instead of being individual companies, it would just be everyone, all of us. But I don't want to lose my doctor. That can happen anyway. If they can't negotiate a term with your doctor, they're no longer in network. Sure, you may be able to continue to see them, but it's going to cost you. I don't get every argument that a lot of conservatives present when it comes to any social service or a social safety net or a social provision. It can be debunked with simple, just think about it. Like, in reality, like, yeah, no, that already exists. What are you talking about?
Or just like if you extend it to like our for-profit system, maybe like retail or something like that, like, do you really simply think that when you purchase a product that you're not paying for something else other than the product? You're literally subsidizing somebody else's wages. You're subsidizing the business. You're subsidizing the owner class of the shareholders. You're subsidizing all of that. Like, you're not purely just paying for the product or the service. Like, that's how the system works. Oh, I'm not going to pay for some other guy. I mean, I don't know their circumstances or whatever. Like, who the fuck cares about their circumstances, bro? Like, you don't know that shit under a for-profit healthcare system who you're paying for. No. I don't know how many people my healthcare provider, United Healthcare, has. I mean, I'm pretty sure I could look it up, but it's like, I don't give a shit because I'm getting the service, but I know there's better options out there.
Yeah, I mean, but even if you look at it, it's like we supplement I had to explain to one guy, it's like we supplement a lot that you don't know about. We supplement industries. Hell, we basically pay some farmers not to plant. We pretty much supplement the dairy industry because people aren't drinking milk like that anymore, so we're basically paying them to dump that shit. Hell, you even supplement people who own homes, and those who own homes but their homes are rental properties. And it's like it's weird that they make this argument every time it comes to the the individual, but they don't argue when it comes to corporations. Like, corporations is probably one of the biggest welfare queens out there, as you know, to quote the great Ronnie Reagan, and I'm being very facetious there when I said that.
Yeah, speaking of corporations who you can't necessarily trust, have you seen how corporations have remained absolutely silent on just the abortion ban? And just like nobody has anything to say. See, now they want to hop on the train of the LGBTQ community. They want to hop on the train of voting rights because like, oh my God, like it's expedient to our image to do something like that. But then, like, when it comes to abortion, we don't see. And that's part of the reason why the story in the Washington Post actually is something worth highlighting, is that don't ever trust a corporation to like come to your rescue. There's no such thing as a good corporation. You have good people
within it.
This is
sure.
by its very design is just for profit, bare minimum.
Unless it's profitable to get behind this, they will remain silent. And that's the problem that we have with corporations. If it's profitable for them to say, yeah, anti-abortion bad, then other than that, they don't give a shit. They're like, whatever. We're sorry, ladies. You know? Which, again, is beneficial for them to actually get behind it because a lot of them don't want to pay for this is some of the issues I ran into, is that a lot of corporations are very weary about hiring pregnant women anyway, or women getting pregnant while they work for them, which is kind of strange if you think about it. Like, you're punished for doing the thing that they claim they want you to do. It's just have kids, especially if you're a white woman, because, you know, especially with the last census, white people think they're about to disappear like in a Thanos snap for some reason. But, you know, it's kind of weird that we're just continuously trying to punish women for either having kids or not having them. So as a society, what do we want from them? Like, honestly, what are we asking women to do? Because it's like, if they have too many kids, then they're a terrible person and a terrible human being because they can't take care of their kids. Or if they have kids with the wrong guy, then they're wrong because they can't pick the right guy. But if they get an abortion, then they're killing kids. Which one is it? I don't understand what they want to happen.
Now, as a person who used to formerly work in management, I can tell you that a lot of the shit that people tell you about oh man, you know, go out there, you know, have a family and all that. Like that's more like cordial conversations or whatever. But like, as far as the company in of itself is concerned, not really, bro. Like so like in my experience when I deal with these situations, a lot of in my company, he was like, oh, well, damn, like I'm going to be paying for a lady to be off.
Yeah.
And that's not profitable for me. So why should I pay for something like that?
Exactly.
For her to be off.
And that's
kind of what it all comes to.
And that's the shitty part. It's like, we don't want to pay for people to be off. We want people to have kids, but we don't want them to have kids on our time. So I don't think, do they not know how kids operate? That kids don't care what your time is and they just need you when they need you? You know what? Maybe we should.
That's probably why. That's probably why they don't really care to interject into this issue, because they're like, oh, well, shit. Like, that means less people having babies? Shit. That means more productivity for us.
Yeah, but that means less consumers, too. Damn. It sounds like we're in a conundrum.
We're in a conundrum and we can't get out of it. Shit. For-profit corporations constantly shooting itself in the foot.
Oh, God. It's
goddamn.
Like, Americans are so dumb, man. I'm sorry. And, like, this is just a general term. It's just that no one really thinks through these things when these things become law, and they think like, yeah, that's murder. It's like, is it really? Like, there's a difference if you had it was late in the term and you actually had a physical formed individual within the person, and we like put a knife through her belly or some goofy shit like that. But we're talking about something that the cells haven't even formed yet. Like, they always want to claim, conservatives always trip me out because they always want to claim they rely on the science, but it's like, I don't think they understand science the way that scientists actually understand science.
Well, like even to that point, because Ben Shapiro actually did a segment where he tried to accuse the left of not following where the science was going when it came to the Roe versus Wade, Roe v. Wade. And he was definitely an advocate for the Texas abortion law.
Of course.
Now, what I would say to those people who would say, well, the law should also correlate with the science, is those are two distinctively different things. So we talked about it like off mic, but I guess we'll like put it on record. Is that is it technically true that vaccinated people going around have less to worry about when it comes to the spread of COVID-19? And sure, yeah,
yes, correct.
I mean, vaccinated people should be able to go around and cohabitate to varying degree and do almost whatever they want. But from a government policy perspective, that would be a train wreck, because how do you discern between vaccinated and unvaccinated? And also, you got a large population of people who are also let's just wait and
the wait and see people,
because there's a lot of people who are those wait and see. They're not they're not necessarily anti-vax. They're more of the whole wait and see. Then you got the definitely anti-vax. Then you got the people who saying, I'm not putting chemicals in my body. You know exactly who the fuck I'm talking about with that bullshit.
I'm not putting chemicals in my body as I throw this shot back. This shot of Hennessy. This shot of whiskey, whatever. Yeah. Those, or as I smoke my cigarette. Yeah, chemicals, sure. By all means.
I'm vaping right now. So yes, I'm definitely, I don't trust those chemicals, but I trust these chemicals. Sure. Yeah. Like everything's fucking a chemical at this point.
It's so weird because I seen a meme and it was very true because I've seen guys do this. Yeah, I ain't getting no shot. However, I'm about to go get this shorty here in a few minutes, so I need to go ahead and run to the corner store and get those rhino pills so I get my Peter up. I don't know what's in them, but I'm going to use them because I heard they work.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, they went to the line to go get them damn dick pills, but then like everybody was avoiding the damn vaccine. Like
that's what I'm saying. Like, but then there's an actual report that those things actually cause erectile dysfunction, but you're willing to risk that because you want to give a good performance. Ain't that a bitch? Bro.
Yeah. But like to basically finish what the point was that's fucking chaos because you can't discern between who is and who not and control a spread of COVID in this fucking pandemic when you got all these people running amok just basically like, oh yeah, we all on the honor system.
Yeah, the honor
bitch,
system.
I can't trust you.
Yeah. But I mean that happened as well. Like at my job, those very same things happened. They did the whole if you're vaccinated, you don't have to. But if you're unvaccinated, you have to. But it's so you really believe that a person who thinks this is not a thing and is all on the my freedoms type situation is not going to be like, well, shit, they don't know if I'm vaccinated or not. I'm just going to do it. And they become a spreader. and what that's kind of how we got to this point where businesses are like, screw it. If you want to keep working here, you got to be vaccinated. Because a person who brings COVID to work can pretty much take out an entire group, an entire shift. So there you go.
That was my concern. Like when I went to work last Sunday was like, came in and I started feeling some type of way. And then like a potential candidate for employment came in, was asking about a job. And man, I don't know what it was, bro. Like you ever had one of them calls that it just like comes out of nowhere and then you start tearing up. And then I was just like, oh shit. So I was like, you know what? I would say, boss lady, can I take off my set? Oh, you feeling good? I mean, if you're feeling okay, you could come in. And I woke up that Monday morning and I was like, nah, this shit ain't worth it. Nah, because like it's one thing to be nice, but it's a whole nother thing if you do have COVID to just be like, well, you know, my boss said it was okay. Like, nah, she an irresponsible ass bitch. I'm sorry, I gotta check out, get a test, and I was here.
and I guess that's my only issue when it comes to this type of policies is that it's okay in this regard, but in reverse, because you know how some conservatives can be, and people in general, it's good for you, but not for me. I will regulate you as much as possible, but as soon as you regulate me, now that's a violation of my freedoms. And so it's like we can't have it both ways. And that's I think we've already had that discussion here before, but that whole freedom stuff needs to really be evaluated. Like freedom is not just what you are allowed to do. Freedom is also what you're free from having to deal with. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, to them same motherfuckers who say, like, just because somebody walks up on their property, it's my property. I can do what I want. So I'm going to shoot you just for stepping on my property. To those same people who, what's her name? Marjorie Taylor Greene.
MTG.
Who was over there
they go come to your house and ask for your address. It's like, but they came to my house. That's exactly what it is.
That's exactly what it is. To those same people, it's like you justify murder in one sense, but you want to call it murder in another sense. And like, first of all, like, let's take issue with like your definition of life. I'm talking about a fucking embryo.
Yes,
Over
exactly.
here,
It's
you're
like
talking about something that's not even an independent being. Now it gets a little complicated when you get later on into the pregnancy.
of
I give you
course,
that.
yeah, understandable. I get that part. But if you're talking about something that's barely formed, that cannot show feelings, cannot react, cannot do a lot of different things, it didn't even talk about the actual being that's alive that has to make a decision. It's up to, and of course, I know I'm always conflicted being a father myself. I was like, it's up to those individuals to decide what's best. Now, ultimately, it is her choice. Now, that can make or break a relationship, depends on which way it goes. But that's just the reality of the situation.
No doubt.
And
Now,
again, for those people who try to use science, in that case, we need to put climate change protocol in place now. But you won't agree to that.
Nope.
We need
not
to
at all.
actually
Hey,
outlaw.
bro.
Go ahead.
We need you to get rid of your straws. We need you to get rid of the sugar. You want to talk about science? Shit, let's talk about science. Hey, you know what? I'm banning sugar all throughout the U.S. Boy, you would have a bigger
fit. Exactly, because you'll say, well, that's not fair. I should be able to decide if I want to kill myself or not. Nope. Because of science, we're going to make a law. No sugar, no, unless you're married, no, no raw sex. Damn. Ooh, here we go.
Ooh. Yeah.
Alcohol consumption is limited. Cigarettes can no longer be sold to you. I mean, the list could go on if we want to use science, but science, bro.
Cigarettes. Yeah, but the science, like these are two and totally different things, bro. Like you just gotta take that into consideration with that. And speaking of like basically people having like weird standards and all that, I wish I was one of the few people who had the opportunity to work from home. I can't, unlike a certain somebody here. But
I
kind of wish.
That's all.
Wish. But let's talk about exactly why, in the story in the Atlantic, why managers want you to come back to work, man. Why does your manager want you to come back to work?
I have an opinion on why, and they've already kind of. So here's the thing. I always wondered this too. It's like, if not every job requires you to actually be there every day, all day, correct? Like we've seen that before. I'm pretty sure there's instances where you have been at your job. You like, I really can just do this at home, as long as I have a good Wi-Fi connection. Like we've all been there before. For certain people who can, relate. But I think there's also this whole notion of jobs will rather you come there so they can see you doing it versus trusting you to do it from home. At least that's what I've noticed.
That's a lot of what I have experienced. Yeah, because it's like they want to see you. It pretty much gets rid of that whole like tension. And it sort of like strips away that, because in a way you gotta like think about it. Like if the managers can't micromanage you, then what is the point of the managers?
The manager has no role. Exactly. And that's the funny thing is like when you really look down and really analyze it, a manager really doesn't, unless you're a manager of a particular system. But if you're a manager of people and these people can actually be away, then you serve no purpose. And for the people
basically all you're doing is you're checking off some boxes. Like, okay, that project's done. That project's done. It's like, what? If that's all you're doing, we kind of don't really need you that much, bro.
You gather the numbers from your team so you can present to the higher ups. That's your role as a manager. And again, I don't know how many people are familiar with David Graeber. He's RIP. He's no longer with us. I think he passed away in 2020 of another knock to 2020. But he was a renowned anthropologist, and he kind of studied economics through anthropology. But he also wrote a book called, Bullshit Jobs. And there are a lot of different roles that, don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. He labeled things like marketing, admin people, which is kind of messed up because he basically said admin people are just there to make another person feel more important than what they really are. Because if you think about it, as an admin person, your job is just to basically maintain the schedule of the higher up.
Yeah.
That's your
you
job.
Basically, are just a professional. You're a professional reporter.
That's it.
I am reporting to you what happened here, and let me now dictate to you exactly what's going to be the agenda going forward. Like, okay, so that's basically all your job. You're just basically like you're checking the boxes and you're scheduling the agenda for later on. Okay, well,
Pretty much.
Not really much value as a worker, in my opinion.
And so it kind of goes with that. And I also think it grants too much freedom. I mean, this is now we start getting to the idea of, is your job really tyrannous in the way that they approach things? Because is it really about being productive, or is it about also controlling you? And again, this part is just opinionated because I have nothing to point to really say, yes, this is definitive, but this is how it comes off. So what is the purpose of seeing people there, like we said, is to make sure they're doing their job. And half the time, people who actually are physically there aren't even as productive as if they were at home. They get less done on average. It's just that you can physically see them.
Yeah. And all right, so I will bring this up. That's actually in the article. So some people really do need to show up in person. I live in Las Vegas, a city more of 600,000 people with more than 200,000 hospitality workers. And thus I am keenly aware of which tasks require someone to be physically there to complete them. I mean, of course you can't wash dishes over Zoom.
Of course. Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, there are some jobs where you have to do like a hybrid type situation. Like mine, a lot of stuff I can do from home, but there's some things I have to actually go physically do as well. But it doesn't take me all entire 8 hours to do that. Like literally, like I would say 75% of my job is at a computer. 25 is walking around, being seen, doing assessments and things like that. Other than that, most of it's all computer based. So I don't feel like, and that's just me. And if you look at some other like engineers, they don't even have to be there. They can really manage everything from home and never have to ever, step a foot on a campus or at a job site.
Yeah, like in my situation, like I'll go into work maybe 6, maybe 7 in the morning, and the most the most physically inducive task that I'll have to deal with is maybe the first 3-4 hours. And after that, hey, look, the next 4 hours can be just me. Hey, I'm out of here. I'm dipping. I'm going home. I can finish this shit at home. And if they literally just gave me the ability, I'm like, all right, bro, I can just do all this shit from the house, bro. Like, I don't need this shit.
Yeah, like outside of productivity projects, you can just pop in. Hey, how everything going? Y'all good? Y'all need anything? Nah, cool. Hang out for about an hour and then go home. And in reality, but if you go back, I can't remember who said this, but a lot of people used to think that with the rise of the internet and the personal computer, that's how our life would have been anyway. That we may not spend our entire life working. That we'll actually be able to do a lot of our work from the comfort of our home, or even be able to work less hours. So, I don't know. Maybe eventually, maybe this is the start of that. We'll see, though.
Now, as many people already know about the whole situation in Afghanistan, we had a sort of a rocky exit.
You don't say.
Yeah. Now, I am fortunate to report to everybody that approximately 122,000 people have been evacuated from Afghanistan. Now, CNN actually has covered the story. So we'll go through the details. More than 122,000 people have been evacuated from Afghanistan with varying legal statuses and needs, as many of them arrive in the United States. Some are U.S. citizens, others are Afghan interpreters who worked alongside the U.S. troops and were granted a special visa as a result, and others are still refugees fleeing for their lives. So, we just got through watching a video of the Purple Heart veterans,
Mm-hmm.
and they were talking about their varying experiences and how what was their take on the situation and how the exit happened. Now, I'll just give you sort of some of my summarizations of like what the video is, and I'll even link that at the bottom for like people who actually wanted to like see the interview for yourselves. But for a lot of people, they take issue with the way that the situation happened and the lives that were lost along the way, and then eventually they just amount to nothing of us trying to build up this territory and then for it to just fall apart immediately as
Like,
we were exiting out.
Exactly. It's like as soon as you step out, the house crumble behind you. Like, how does that work? But, oh man. But now go ahead and
Which
continue.
makes you wonder, like, was our purpose there really to like help the Afghan people? Were we really there just to protect from terrorists or whatever? Like, so that's like if I were to have like a training montage of like training some kid to like fight this up and coming antagonist at the end of a movie, and then we go through all this shit. We have the most longest montage of like you having, how long have we been there? Over 20 years at this
Over
point?
20, yeah.
And it's like all the way until you get to the point where it's time for him to fight, and then he gets knocked out immediately. It's like, well, God damn, like, well, what was the point of this?
I mean, you got to really start asking that question, and I think most Americans should, but I doubt that that conversation actually come up because the way that the military is propagated here. But I look at it in this sense that my father's Air Force, former Air Force, retired 22 years. When the war started, or we first started talking about going to war, I was 14. Like 13, 14, somewhere around there. And basically, if I would have actually joined the Air Force like I initially thought about, I could have potentially fought in the same war my father fought in. At the same, like, that's just wild when I think about that, because it's strange how this was a generational war, because you got this one generation who the next generation fought in the same war, and potentially almost the next generation could have came up as well. Like, it's just like kids who were born in 2001 or 20, well, I think it started 2001. They're what, 22 now? No, my bad. They're actually 20. Yeah, they're actually 20 to 22 on the dot. Depends on when they were born. So the fact that they could have potentially also been over there as well, and they were born the day, the same year it actually started. So, and the fact that we just got out, it was pretty much our version of Vietnam all over again. And of course, we never learned from it. We never really reflected upon it as a nation. Because even when you think about then, Vietnam was always like a political thing as well. It's either you were for it or you were against it. But if you were against it, you were unpatriotic and not true American. Same stuff we dealt with now currently. Yeah, so yeah, I'm my only question would be, I'll pose to you, is what's next? Like, are we now going to be out of wars forever, or at least for a decent amount of time? Or are we going to just redirect our attention elsewhere?
See, I don't know, man. I'm hoping that we kind of get out of this business. I mean, defense contractors made a hell of a lot of money off of this. So, like,
fuck yeah.
I will say for, like, the people in that interview who, like, they took offense to the fact of they left so many people behind who they promised to protect, and there was a lot of deaths that were, and unfortunately, a lot of people that died during this war, and there's a little bit of guilt that's like felt because of that they just abruptly just left like that. But at the same time, I felt like from the interview, like a lot of their experiences are very insular, and it's like, well, what was the point? And it's like, well, the point was very clear. Like one of the people in the interview actually said it he said that he had asked like, why are we here in this war? And it's like, because of 9/11. Like, well, that was 10 years ago. So kind of connect the dots and be like, well, if that happened so many years ago, then why are we here now? That's already over with.
Yeah, and apparently we got the two main people, well, allegedly. We got Bin Laden and we got Saddam. So again, what was the purpose? Like you said,
be going.
Yeah, like
Somebody's making some money off of this shit.
And that's the problem. So then you got to start questioning the ethics of war as a business, which has always been a business because a lot of people talked about it. I mean, apparently World War II was credited with getting us out of the Depression. And apparently maybe we're still trying to do that because we realize that this work in capitalist BS can't function on its own, and we need chaos in order to help keep it afloat. We need something to funnel money into in order to keep it afloat, because if not, it's going to implode on itself, because it has on numerous occasions.
And that's how we feel about capitalism, folks. It's just it's not profitable to invest in something like the Green New Deal, but it's a hell of a lot more profitable to, I don't know if you were going to use the word invest, but shoot a bunch of brown people.
Yeah.
Very
go mess up some brown folks over here who who can't even really fight back against us. But that's what we're going to do, so we can go claim some territory. Start a regime.
And then we potentially make the situation worse, which increases the Taliban, just in ridiculous numbers. Yeah. And then we want to get mad or whatever, like, oh man, we pulling out because, oh man, we care about the people. Like, you didn't care about the people when the Taliban numbers were. We didn't reduce them. They actually increased.
See,
while we were there.
That's actually funny to me. So all these people who all of a sudden started caring about Middle Eastern people, Muslims, etc. And what about the women? It's like, wait, what about the women? But we pass abortion laws. Get out of here. Oh, what about the people over there? They got to deal with the Taliban. You mean the same people that you ostracized when they came here and always assumed that they were of terrorist descent, whatever that means? Stop it. Like, y'all can't be taken serious. You can't take these people serious because you contradict yourself in almost every notion. And it's like you just want to stay over there because military in America.
Yeah, so I wonder, I mean, I'm stretching here, but I'm wondering, because this is what I'm hearing, the new war is China. And
that's the rumor?
What does that mean? What does that fucking mean? Like, are we going to go to war with them over the Green New Deal? Oh, my God, Biden's about to pass the Green New Deal. Yeah, right.
What will be the purpose? Only because that was actually one of the issues I brought up to you, was the fact that China has went in, and I think they were supporting the Taliban now, or something along those lines, or supporting those in that area. And I'm like, oh boy, I see where this can go potentially, and I'm hoping it doesn't, because I'm really hoping we can get past these wars. Like, we need to actually start doing other things, but. Yeah, I know how some people can be, especially with these our current government officials. And
while Quentin is drinking, I wanted to talk about the Straight Pride Parade. Oh man, I wanted to say that shit while he was drinking his sipping his drink so he could spit out. Hey, so as a member of the straight community,
say that again.
I'm going to let you take over this story right here about the Straight Pride Parades.
Oh, yes. So apparently,
you represent them.
I don't represent this at all. So everybody's, I guess, how can you describe Jesse Lee Peterson? Like, in a few words, how would you describe this man?
That is a good question, because you really can't describe him as just one thing.
I know.
That's Oh man, I don't.
So
I don't want to say Uncle Tom, man, because that's kind of played out,
yeah,
bro.
yeah.
It's like he is like the white apologist in a black with a black face on.
So
I don't get him.
if Jesse Lee Peters, for those who have maybe seen the movie Get Out, if you haven't, please go take a look at it. It's actually pretty good. Jesse Lee would have been one of those black guys who would have loved being in the village, or the town that Get Out happened in.
Yes, most definitely.
Oh man! So apparently he's a reverend.
He would have been if this was still, he would have been the house nigger. He would have been the snitch.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, we doing good over here, boss.
That's a good definition. So for those who have seen Django, he would have been Samuel L. Jackson's character.
Oh, most definitely.
Definitely. Like, for sure. But apparently he's also a reverend. Citation needed, because I don't believe I've ever seen a church he's actually affiliated with. But so, yeah, take that for whatever it's worth. Anyways, they decided they were going to do I can't even, a straight pride parade. So it wasn't really that big. Apparently it was a pretty mixed crowd. A lot of Mexican Americans, maybe, which we've already kind of went over the notion that some of them tend to lean more socially conservative in some regards, especially if they came from like a Catholicism background. But I'm just like, after watching it, I was like, okay, what's the purpose of this? Like, really, you're marching and then they were propagating like LGBTQ memorabilia, like the flag and things like it was interesting. That's all I can say.
Yeah, what was up with? I don't know, man. What the fuck was up with that shit, bro?
I guess I don't know. I don't know what the goal was there. Maybe to say we're taking the rainbow scheme back. Maybe, I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, let's go with that.
But let's really discuss the reasoning and the necessity. So here's what me being a straight guy, I never really caught on to that whole, well, we should do like a straight pride stuff. It's like, why? Like, in reality, look, if we're looking at just sheer numbers, we make up, 85% of the entire world population. Are we really finna combat 15 to 20% of people? Like, in reality, like, what's the reasoning? Just to say, hey, I'm prideful. It's really the all lives mattering of the situation. I don't know another way to describe it.
I mean, and like, he still has to this day never addressed the fact that what was it again? He liked some gay porn.
Oh,
he liked
on Twitter. Yeah, on Twitter. Yeah. Apparently, he had liked some gay porn site video. I don't know. It never been addressed. Bro. Never said that I was hacked, which we already know. Anytime someone says, "Oh, I was hacked," that's usually BS.
Yeah, he liked it. Like, yeah,
definitely. He definitely did. But I question a lot of guys who claim they're straight who are really, really interested on like LGBTQ matters. Like, they just take it upon themselves to continuously inject themselves into that conversation, and it's like it's rather weird. I think it is, because these people aren't hurting you in any regard, and the idea that you think them being seen will all of a sudden turn your kids one way or another is kind of funny, because if your child turns out this way, they probably already were. And I know that's hard for you to realize, but fine, whatever. I mean, that's just the reality of it. So I don't know. That's kind of weird.
But like, from the video when I was watching, I was like, man, it hardly looked like a parade. It was just a bunch of people.
It was just a bunch of people just standing around with signs and just saying random BS to passerbys. And I think, was it a counter to another parade or another recognition parade? Maybe, I don't. I think it was.
Well,
wasn't
there
it?
was a counter protest that was happening across the street. Now, the cops decided to disperse them first before dispersing the street pride
Of
parade.
course. I mean, of
But
course.
what I took issue with is just like, okay, but why are you dispersing? Like, why are you dispersing it at all? Because the whole reason why the cops came over, from what I can tell, is because the counter protesters had a guy over there harassing the fuck out of him. Like literally, he was like in their face arguing with him. And I was like, if anything, just remove him from the scenario, from the situation, and they can just go on about their merry ways. But nah, man, the cops, they have to disperse them first. And hey, you guys got to go. But say you ain't got to do shit. Like just
Not really, because
tell that motherfucker to kick rocks.
Well, then you got to start asking the question. This is where the Constitution comes into play. If it's legal for you to protest, how can cops legally disperse you? Are we now going to say
Maybe if you're causing like a fight, I can maybe understand. But you ain't doing shit.
If you're causing a fight, sure, that turns into a public disturbance. But if it's like I always wondered that, because it's like, oh well, you're interrupting commerce. It's like, so that's the point. It's like okay. Oh well.
Yeah, and when I say like starting a fight, I mean like literally you have like a mob of people who have the intentions of starting a fight or something like that. They're just going around fucking up people or some shit. All right, whatever.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
you can go ahead and snatch them motherfuckers off the streets.
Yeah.
But if you just have a bunch of people just like protesting, like, hey man, look, like leave them be. Let them do their thing.
Man. See, I don't know, man. But again, I need to look more into the story, because I haven't went on Jesse Lee Peterson's page in a while. I used to actually just go on there and just listen to his arguments, because for anybody who just wants a good laugh, please go take a look at his video. For some reason, I think we made him famous, though, but it's very entertaining listening to this guy.
I think he makes himself famous.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Because you start thinking about it, you're like, if he's the best, the right wing, because I think I brought this up to you before. If you look at the lineup of right wing commentators, just think about it. Your main heavy hitters. If that's the best they have, bro, why are they even viable as like? Why? Like, I don't understand. Like, I guess that's why I'm confused, because it's like listening to people like, and we're not even gonna talk about your girl Candace Owens and her whole trying to discuss slavery. That was a kicker. But when you think about the people who are the voices from, like, Candy Owens, Ben, old Benny Shapiro, all them other people, it's like the things and the arguments they make are very juvenile and very elementary. So why are they even still around, and why do people even give them the time of day is the question.
I would just add that be very careful with Candace Owens, because for some people they think that she's gonna run in 2024. And it's like,
please, Lord, no.
Like, oh boy, this shit right here is.
If there is a God, please stop that chaos. Please just say, man, look, you know what? I let this go on. I let this go on way too long. It's time to put a stop to this. But
man, I can see attack. America is back, baby. Say, fuck. And the black people need to stop blaming white people for all their problems, which is partially correct. Which is why white people should get the congratulations for stopping slavery officially.
Yeah. And it's like, first of all, the argument, because if you watch the argument of, like, I think Vosh had discussed it too. I've heard people say this, and it always brings me to that point too. It's like, who said this? Like, why is this even an argument? That, first of all, white people didn't invent slavery. It's like, okay, you're who are you arguing with this statement? Like, no one's ever said this. It's like, what are you talking about?
I'm not sure if I've ever heard anybody actually say white people. Now, a lot of it is attributed to white people, but we're talking about strictly speaking the United States. Into like her statement about like white people were the first. Like,
No.
no. Like maybe if you're talking about U.S. politics, but
See, but that's the thing that's always been BS to me is that they're arguing something that no one has ever argued for. What we're talking about is the institution of slavery within the confines of the United States of America. We're not talking about what happened with African tribes. We're not talking about the Middle East and Muslims. We're talking about the U.S. And what I will argue with that notion is how, hey, if you were to get caught doing a crime, you can't go say, well, I was the one who invented this set. I didn't invent murder. Such and such, OJ committed murder in the 90s. And it's like, okay, what does that have to do with this situation now?
nothing at all.
At all. But thank you for the history lesson. That's all you can say.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get it. and so it's just a distractor to keep people from wanting to actually talking about, really have the conversation about how, yes, generally, on average, black people have been treated crappy. And that's the nicest way I could put it. Here in the United States, on average, we're not talking about the Barack Obamas and the very few who were able to ascend because of they were allowed to and they got lucky. We're talking about the general population. So it's...
And so even if you wanted to like even use that as your excuse, no, look at Barack Obama. It's like pull out these handful of motherfuckers out your ass is actually proving the point. It's like,
exactly.
Oh yeah, they're successful. Yeah, that's great and all. Now tell me how many. What's the percentage?
Yes.
Let's just talk percentages exactly. If you gotta like go to him or to Jay-Z or something like that, it's like, yeah, you're already kind of proving the point.
Yeah, the only people you can point to are Jay-Z, Michael Jordan, Barack Obama. It's the first three that come to people's mind when they have these discussions.
And yes, we know there's way more. We know there's way more. Of course, there's more.
Yeah, but these are the go-tos. But then if you look at, you're talking about 5% of the entire black population, maybe 10. What about the other 90 to 80%? Again, if we start talking about the percentages where people talk about like the average earnings of a particular group, I think black people are like at 38 to 40,000, which means, again, when you look at percentages, that means we're taking $0 up to the highest amount, and it averages down to 40K. That means everybody else is usually struggling. That's how those numbers work. It's like, so yeah, there you go.
It's fucking ridiculous, bro.
It is. It's funny though.
What?
Like, it's funny, but it's sad at the same time because how many people can rarely, if ever, have this type of complex conversation in a real setting and actually provide compelling arguments? I've seldomly had that situation occur.
And before we close out this segment, I just want to tell everybody, America is back, baby. When Candace Owens wins in 2024, boy, it's gonna be like 2016 wasn't shit. It was shit.
If that happened, I'm moving. I'm sorry. I'll be like, you know what? I wanted to stay and fight, but nah, they got it. I'm good.
2024 is gonna be woo. It's gonna be a bloodbath.
I'm going somewhere else, anywhere else, just not here. If that happens, I'm good.
Yeah, we be next door neighbors. Like, hey man, you moving to Canada? I'm moving to Canada. Hey, fuck it, you're moving to Norway? Hey, fuck it, I'm moving to Norway. We going right now.
Look, we gone. Don't worry about it. What you gonna do about your card, man? Look, sell that shit. Don't worry about it. It's like,
I abandoned this motherfucker. The markets is out of control, baby.
Wait, hold up. Can you imagine? Candace Owens. And with my first policy, I'm going to decide that I don't even know what would be her first. All right, there you go. Her first 30 days. How we going to do this? Let's see.
Christian theocracy.
Let's see.
We're gonna bring family values back to the world.
Yes. You know, she may make her Hitler speech of, you know, we know that Hitler wasn't. Again, I go back to my speech when I talked about Hitler, and I know I said that he was only wrong when he wanted to, you know, branch outside of Germany. I still stand by that, and as America, I'm going to stand by you as well. You know, something like, I don't know, something goofy and weird like that. I don't know.
Bro, I could definitely see her. I could definitely see her. When I say this, I don't mean it in an endearing way. I could definitely see her in the Republican Party as a viable candidate.
That's not
That's the state
saying
of
a
affairs
lot.
we're in.
I'm sorry, that's not saying a lot at all, and that's the problem. Why are these people still a viable? Why are they still a party? Oh God, I don't know. Like, they shouldn't be a part. Like, these are the people who tried to do a coup and perpetuated it. Like, they're obstructing justice on average, even with dealing with the investigation of January 6th. And they're still able to hold seats of power? Get out of here, man. We look, it's a joke. It has to be.
Stop enabling these motherfuckers. That's all I can say, bro.
Oh, man.
But for everybody, we love you, and we hope Candace falls down some stairs in a video game. But
oh well, that's why she's being sued into oblivion now. Hopefully, it all makes her go bankrupt. Then she had to find another grift. Yeah, well.
All right, everybody. But we will be checking out for tonight. Love you.
All right. Peace.